heroes level up, the power gap between them and normal units only increases. At some point, you're left feeling like a Dragon Ball Z character.
Oh, Jesus.
If the plot of Dragon Ball Z involved slaughtering entire populations of crippled, boneless
Come
children.
on, dude.
And that's a good feeling.
And that's a good feeling. How's it going, people? Jack here. So today we'll be watching a review on what is now, to my understanding, the clearly inferior continuation to the great Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Because as I said in the previous videos, the fourth and the second one were the ones that I got to play extensively, and well, I was a kid, I had zero freaking taste. Because judging from the thumbnail alone featuring Medicus, I think that was that king's name, but whatever, even the art styles kind of sucked. I don't know what happened to the studio at that point. Perhaps they were getting about that bankruptcy point where they then got acquired by Ubisoft. But no matter the cause, as a kid, when you get the chance to just fire as many spells as you want to and level them up, that's all that matters. That's the fun, and that's the world for you. But that said though, let's just check out a review from SsethTzeentach here on Heroes of Might and Magic 64. I don't know, is that a reference that I'm supposed to understand?
Hey people, Sseth here. Today, I'll be covering a game designed on a shoestring budget while its own parent company was going bankrupt. Heroes of Might and Magic 4, and despite how little time and money they had, the outcome is pretty damn impressive. It also managed to produce 2 expansions on a nanofiber budget. The result, well, have a look for yourselves.
I did not play those.
Mongo, great barbarian from the north, seeking to conquer new lands for his kingdom. Spasmaticus, a young king on a mad quest to rule the world.
Look at that face. It's the kind of thing that will haunt you in your freaking nightmares. And also, to the point of what might have made a kid want to play this continuously was the fact that the intro sequence of this game was akin to like a Dynasty Warrior RTS. The clashing of the swords that make the world explode. I mean, if you're not getting hooked by seeing something like that, then I don't know what's wrong with you.
5 leaders from 5 different lands have set their sights on the kingdom of Channing and the riches of its capital city. Only one can emerge victorious. Only one will weather the winds of war.
Wait, does that drum have a Supreme logo on it?
Story. To recap the events of Heroes 3, some
here we go.
mages enchanted 2 swords to each have the nuclear yield of a small sun. Stated only in the fine print of a shipping invoice, these swords shouldn't touch, or else warranty is null and void, since the planet will erupt in a nuclear explosion. So, 2 heroes do exactly that and kill everyone. Some people manage to survive by following portals to a new planet, so they can ruin it all over again. Unfortunately, there's no Geneva Conventions or NATO oversight for wizardry, which is arguably the greatest cause of death in the Might and Magic universe.
Yes, look at this. That's what I'm talking about. Wizards make up only 0.7% of the world's population, yet call hardworking peasant muggles. Look, a lot of people are getting mad over the whole Hogwarts legacy situation, and while it is warranted to have some animosity towards Turf Jesus, to my knowledge she has zero affiliation to the game, and this whole movement of do not buy the game had the complete adverse effect on Hogwarts legacy, obviously. So it's now the best-selling game on both Steam and the PlayStation 5, I believe. But really, that's beside the point. For the actual issues that people should be worried about within the Harry Potter universe is stuff like this. Remember in the 4th movie when Hermione finds out that basically Hogwarts is run by house elves, and she was made fun of for thinking that that was messed up? Yeah, these are the actual issues that you should be worried about, and of course also all the Jewish stereotypes.
War crimes by practitioners of the arcane are rarely prosecuted, as mages will often teleport out of courtrooms and cast mass Alzheimer's on the judge and jury. The only people not susceptible to magical subversion are barbarians. Being so mentally retarded, they're not even considered a vegetable anymore. Gameplay. Heroes 4 is the most heroes-centric game of the entire series. Heroes in this game have a physical presence in the battlefield and can be killed it's just gonna cost you your entire army to do so. Heroes go from being fragile glass to killing 2 or 3 black dragons per attack. As heroes level up, the power gap between them and normal units only increases. At some point, you're left feeling like a Dragon Ball Z character.
Oh, Jesus.
If the plot of Dragon Ball Z involved slaughtering entire populations of crippled, boneless children.
dude.
And that's a good feeling.
And that's a good feeling. He went from showcasing one of the ugliest animations in Dragon Ball Super, my brothers in Christ, what happened to the budget at the time, and then showcasing a picture of Vegeta pregnant. The messed up part is that I'm going to have that on my mind right now.
To all the Heroes 4 critics out there, have you never experienced the intoxicating sensation of absolute control, of absolute power?
Oh yeah.
I have. Once. My friend was in anaphylactic shock from his nut allergy, and I stole his EpiPen. I'm really sorry about that, by the way. I thought the nut allergy was a joke. I mean, I'm not gay either. I've also got an allergy to nut. Heroes 4 plays differently too.
Is it wrong that I've seen both of those panels?
It maintains many of the older game's mechanics. You explore and plunder the lands and slowly build up an unstoppable team of adventurers to dominate rival players. The original campaigns are all good fun and tell some enjoyable stories with lots of colorful character development.
Yeah.
In fact, some of the campaigns have such lengthy dialogue and text that you feel like you're reading a short fantasy novel instead. The same
It was
can't
really
be
good.
said for the 2 expansions, which sound like they were recorded off a copper wire inside a submarine.
Mysterio the Magnificent has traveled south to the shores of the Senjak Sea, to
Jesus.
a wild land inhabited by many untamed and ferocious tribes. Little is known about this region, even to the great Mysterio.
With maybe a small paragraph of text explaining your motivations that can be summarized as, "Hey faggot, some necromancer is resurrecting people's assholes and ruining the prostitution industry. Stop him by collecting his offshore banking details hidden across 7 tax havens."
Yikes.
Both the expansions feel like some filler bullshit intended to suck up as much of your time as possible.
Don't buy them.
To justify the original box price. Don't expect anything more than a handful of new units and structures. There's less units in the game compared to the third title, and they don't have second tier upgrades like before, but every single
the
creature
spells-
has special abilities and properties that make them distinctly unique, such as these Irish migrants, violent and aggressive, but easy to kill, with the
Come
ability to
on.
give themselves extra luck once per turn, but they'll need a lot more than luck to unify their island. There's lots of little
No chill. No chill with that.
quality of life improvements from the previous game. You no longer have to visit every single fucking neutral dwelling to collect your forces. Instead, you use a caravan system to safely and quickly transport troops between structures in towns, provided there's a direct logistic route available. In towns, you now need to pick upgrade paths to choose which higher tier units you'd like to produce, allowing you to adapt your strategy according to the enemy or what sort of resources you've got access to. The unit models look alright. Maybe
No.
they're 3D models baked into 2D sprites.
I don't like them at all. I mean, in comparison to the third one, it's kind of messed up because I'm looking at it now with adult eyes. And back then, they used to be like the most wonderful thing to me. Time truly is a bitch.
Who knows? Whatever they are, most of them are quite well animated with joke animations if you mouse over them. Like this female chaos sorceress, who's undergoing chemotherapy. As for the combat itself, there's some new movement grid that I don't exactly understand, but I do appreciate that projectiles and spells now have collision and actually require you to have direct line of sight to your intended target.
Sure.
This means that you can actually conceal your shooters and spellcasters from direct attack by placing bulkier melee units in front of them. Resource management in the game is some weird shit, since most towns produce less gold even when fully upgraded, and many buildings cost more resources than you'd find on the map. Again, heroes are necessary to build up a reliable line of credit. High-ranking shekel collectors and Jew lords can be elected as governors for cities if they have a nobility skill, improving unit recruitment and providing extra daily gold and resources if they completed an accountancy course. Some upgrades in towns also make no fucking sense. In Heroes 3, building a citadel and a castle would greatly
Yeah.
improve your defenses, while in 4 they provide you
Get a
with
wall.
a wall, and a gate, It can be killed in a single turn, despite costing the equivalent of several max-level units to build. Unlike in Heroes 3, where all the towns are represented by different factions, Heroes 4 towns are grouped loosely by their school of economic ideology, contrasted by their polar opposite. These are order, planned economy, chaos, anarcho-capitalism, nature, the free market, life, crypto-theocracy, death, communism, and might. The single-market ethno-state of Zion. Supporters of their respective ideology are varied and diverse. The free market commands phoenixes capable of reincarnating after a market crash, while communism boasts Bolshevik vampires that sustain themselves off of grain and blood of Polish peasants. Heroes
Okay. I was in on it, until of course he had to put on the twist.
Heroes are multidisciplinary in this game, since on top of mages and Super Saiyans, you can also recruit heroes skilled in stealth, who can sneak across the map undetected, so long as the enemy doesn't have a superior scouting skill to reveal them, allowing you to stealthily flag dwellings and disrupt supply lines, or even potentially taking an undefended city under your opponent's nose.
I do have a question regarding this, because Sseth has been showcasing this show for quite some videos, so I'm just asking, what is it? Because it appears to me like a weird costumed equivalent of what's that one thing called that used to be like Evolve Fighting? By the way, if you've never come across Evolve Fighting, bless your heart, good on you. But for those of you who have, you are truly cultured, like milk and or other white substances.
Heroes 4 allowed you to do something wacky as well. Creatures can be split from heroes and used to independently explore and take resources or items, but can never flag dwellings by themselves. It's an interesting idea that also means your main heroes never have to leave a front line, since reinforcements will reach them manually from nearby towns. Remember diplomacy in Heroes 3? A lot of people complain about that. So now, you have 2 diplomacy skills, allowing you to convert a fraction of neutral monsters to your side. However, one requires money, and the other one requires nothing. Also, it now works on enemy armies, allowing you to pay off a portion of the opponent's army and persuade them to turncoat before the battle even begins. There's a huge range of spells in this game, and that's part of the main allure. Learning the highest level spells takes time, since there's now 5 levels of mastery for each school, up to Grand Mastery, which also requires proficiency in sub-skills to reach, but it's well worth it when you turn your 8-man party into an 8-man group of immortals by casting Divine Intervention every single turn.
Okay, great place to stop the video. But that was one of the reasons why it was also super enjoyable, because you could basically, once you acquire that spell, never die. Go through an entire playthrough or multitude of them while knowing what spell you needed to acquire to make the game fun for you. And as has been stated many times before, the point of Heroes of Might and Magic is to exploit the game.
A final note, the music in Heroes of Might and Magic 4 is absolutely fantastic. The other Heroes games are also great in terms of music, but the compositions here are much more reminiscent of the opera performances you'd hear in Heroes 2. It's very calm and soothing, and doesn't grate on your ears, even
what am I
after you've
watching?
listened to them for a few hours. Conclusions, I hope you've enjoyed reading this essay as much as I enjoyed writing it. Heroes 4 is a fantastic game that never got the exposure it deserved from living in the shadow of its universally acclaimed predecessor, but it's still worth playing and provides you with hours of fun. I also got it for only about $10 on Good Old Games. Here in Scandinavia, $10 will maybe buy you 2 small potatoes and some grilled firewood.
That's true. That is true. And with these current inflation prices, getting 2 liters of milk is half of that.
But this will keep the hunger pangs at bay for much, much longer. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild funding and bankrolling these terrible videos. You're all truly wonderful, and I'm running out of Heroes games to review, so I can feel the noose closing in on me. Have a good one.
You know, one thing that I find to be extremely interesting is that the writer of Heroes of Might and Magic, that is the main writer here, J. also works on another series that I got introduced to through Sseth, The Endless Universe. How what happened? Is there like a certain cognitive dissonance that happened in between writing those two? One is clearly very great, and the other one is, not to piss off my fellow heroes enjoyers, not so great. I don't know what happened, but it's kind of funny to think about. But guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. As always, please do go and subscribe to Sseth's channel. And if this here video get 1,000 likes, if you will want me to, I'll be playing Hogwarts Legacy on the channel, regardless of whether or not it ends up sucking. So we'll see. It releases soon.